The cargo ship Iron Will moved slowly across the dark space, its engines humming like a tired giant. The human commander, Captain John Hale, sat in the control chair with cold eyes fixed on the empty stars. He was a man who had seen too much war, too many broken lives. He believed nothing in the galaxy could surprise him anymore. But that night he was wrong. The distress signal came without warning. A small pulse, weak, almost gone, Captain Hale leaned forward. Listening, the signal was not human, it carried an alien signature. A cry from a ship that should not still exist. He ordered his crew to follow the signal. Soon they found it. A broken alien colony ship drifting in silence. Its hull was torn, its lights were dead. It looked like a tomb in the endless dark. The humans prepared a boarding team. They stepped into the ruined corridors, their boots echoing on metal floors covered with dust and ash. The air was thin and heavy. The smell of old fire lingered. Weapons ready, they searched, expecting only death. But in one chamber a shadow moved. Contact. One soldier whispered. From the darkness a figure stepped out. A woman, not human. Her skin carried the pale silver glow of her kind. Her eyes burned with quiet sorrow. She wore no armor, no weapon. Only a torn robe, once beautiful but now broken like the ship around her. She stood tall, but her face showed loss. She was not a warrior anymore, she was a widow. The soldiers raised their weapons. But Captain Hale lifted his hand. "Wait," he ordered. He looked at her and saw no threat, only grief and pride. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice steady. The alien woman spoke slowly, her words mixed with human language, broken but clear. "I am last," she said. Her voice was calm but heavy. Like stone carried too long, they searched the ship more. But she was the only survivor. No crew, no family, no one else, just her. Standing alone among the bones of her people, back on the Iron Will, Hale sat with her in the mess hall. She did not eat, only sat still, watching the stars through the window. Her silence carried weight. The crew whispered behind his back, wondering why the captain had brought her aboard. Some said she was dangerous, some said she was cursed. But Hale studied her carefully. He saw no madness, only deep strength hidden under sorrow. "What do you want?" he asked her. Her answer was simple. "Work." The crew laughed when they heard it. A widow from a dead race asking for a job. But Hale did not laugh. He understood something. A person who asks for work is not begging. A person who asks for work is asking for life. He thought for a long time. Finally, he said, "All right. I will give you a place here." The alien woman bowed her head. For the first time, her eyes softened. There was no smile, but there was something else, relief. The next days were strange. She moved through the ship quietly, cleaning, fixing small things, carrying out simple tasks. She never complained. She never rested when others did. Her presence unsettled the crew. But Hale noticed something different. At night, when most slept, she wandered the ship, standing by the windows, staring into the void. Sometimes she whispered in her own language, soft words like a prayer. Sometimes her hands trembled as she held a silver locket close to her chest. Hale began to wonder, who was this widow? Why had she survived when all others had died? And what secret was she keeping inside that locket she never let go? One night Hale found her in the cargo bay. She stood in the shadows, whispering to the stars. His boots made a sound, and she turned sharply. Her eyes glowed with fear and warning. Then she quickly hid the locket under her robe. "Do you need something, Captain?" she asked in her slow human tongue. Hale paused. He could have demanded answers. He could have ordered her to tell him the truth. But he did not. Something told him to wait. To give her time. "I just wanted to see if you were settling in," he said calmly. She tilted her head, studying him with those burning alien eyes. For a moment she looked as if she wanted to speak, to share something, but then she only whispered, "I am fine." Hale nodded, but his heart carried doubt. He knew she was hiding something, and he knew that one day it would come for both of them. For now, she was only a worker on his ship, a widow with empty hands. But destiny had already chosen a different path, one that would bind their lives together in ways no one could imagine. And as the Iron Will moved through the silent stars, unseen eyes were already watching, following the alien widow, waiting for the moment to strike. The captain did not know it yet, but by giving her work, he had already invited danger and something far greater onto his ship. The crew of the Iron Will thought life would return to normal after the alien widow joined them. They were wrong. Strange things began to happen on the ship. Small things at first. The lights in the lower decks flickered without reason. Storage doors opened as if touched by invisible hands. Sometimes the ship's sensors showed movement in empty corridors. The crew whispered among themselves. It started after she came, one said. She is cursed, another muttered. But Captain Hale did not believe in curses still. He could not ignore what he saw with his own eyes. One night when the ship drifted quietly between stars, Hale walked the dark hallways alone. He heard a faint sound. Soft like a whisper, he followed it. His steps echoed on the cold floor. At the end of the corridor, near the observation window, she stood, the alien widow, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Her lips moved, speaking words in her own language. The sound was soft and broken, like she was speaking to someone far away, but there was no one there. Only the endless stars outside. Hale froze, watching. She held the locket close, whispering into it. Her eyes were filled with both sorrow and hope. Who is she speaking to? Hale thought for a moment. He felt a chill, as if unseen eyes were staring back through the glass of space. When she noticed him, she stopped. Her expression changed quickly, calm and unreadable. She bowed her head and walked past him without a word. The next day, the crew complained. They said she never slept. She walked the ship at night like a ghost, watching them. They said her eyes followed them in silence. They said she made the ship feel colder. Hale listened but gave no orders. He watched instead. He studied her carefully during the day. She worked harder than anyone. She cleaned, repaired tools, and even learned some human systems quickly. She was quiet but efficient. She asked no questions and answered only when asked. But it was at night her true self appeared. Hale noticed she avoided the crew. She spent hours alone at the windows, staring into the black. Sometimes her hands shook when she held the locket. Sometimes her lips moved as if she was speaking to the stars themselves. One evening, when the ship passed near a dead moon, Hale entered the mess hall. It was empty except for her. She sat alone, food untouched, her eyes fixed on the silver surface of the moon outside. "Why don't you eat?" Hale asked. She looked at him, her expression calm but heavy. "Food is not same," she said slowly. "I remember other taste of home." Her words were simple, but they carried deep pain. Hale did not push further. He only sat across from her in silence. Suddenly, the ship's alarm blared. The crew rushed to their stations. Hale ran to the control room. The sensors showed a strange signal following them. It was weak but steady, like someone was watching. "Tracking them, enemy?" a soldier asked. Hale frowned. Not sure. He noticed the alien widow had entered the control room quietly. She stood in the corner, her face pale, her eyes locked on the signal. For a brief moment, fear showed in her gaze. Then she looked down, hiding it. "Do you know something?" Hale asked. She shook her head quickly. "No," she said, but her voice trembled. The crew exchanged nervous looks. Hale saw it. He knew she was hiding something. But still he said nothing. That night, Hale found her again in the cargo bay. This time she was not whispering. She was crying, her voice soft, almost broken. She pressed the locket against her forehead, her body shaking. "Why are you here?" Hale asked gently. She spun around, her eyes glowing with anger and fear. "You should not watch," she said sharply. Hale did not move, his voice calm. "You are hiding something if it brings danger to my crew." "I must know." She stared at him for a long time. Her chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. Finally, she whispered, "I carry memory. I carry voice of my people." She held the locket out. For the first time, Hale saw it clearly. It was not just jewelry, it was a small device, glowing faintly with hidden energy. Inside, there was a hologram, flickering images of her people, their voices locked in tiny fragments. A record of a world destroyed. A record of everything she lost. Hale felt the weight of it. He understood why she wandered the ship at night, why she whispered to the stars. She was not cursed, she was carrying ghosts. But the signal on the radar still followed. Someone was hunting her. Hale stepped closer. "If they come for you, they come for us too." Her eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she whispered, "they will come." And in that moment, Hale realized his simple act of mercy, hiring her, giving her work, had tied his ship and his crew to something much greater. A storm was coming, a storm that began with one widow's secret. The iron will sailed deeper into the unknown sectors, but the shadow that followed them grew closer each day. The signal was no longer faint. It pulsed like a hunter's heartbeat, steady, patient, and cruel. The crew grew restless, they whispered in corners. Their eyes turned often toward the alien widow. Some wanted to throw her off the ship. They said she was the reason for the danger. But Captain Hale stood firm. He gave no order to abandon her. Still, in his heart, he knew the truth. The signal hunted her, not them, one night. When the stars glowed faint around a dead planet, Hale went to her cabin. He did not knock, he entered quietly. Inside, she sat on the floor, the silver locket open. Its light filled the small room with soft shadows. The air was heavy with whispers. Voices that were not human, they came from the locket. Fragments of her people's language. Cries of war, prayers of children. The sound froze Hale's blood. She looked up sharply, her eyes burning. "You should not be here," she said. Hale did not move. "You are hiding the truth. If my crew is to die because of you, I need to know why." Her hands trembled, but she did not close the locket. She stared at him for a long time, then whispered, "I will tell you, but once you know, there is no turning back." The light of the locket grew brighter. Images flickered. Cities of silver towers, skies filled with ships, a people strong, proud, and beautiful. Then came fire, endless fire, machines tearing through the cities, soldiers in black armor slaughtering all. Hale watched as the widow's face twisted in pain. Her voice broke. "They were my people. We called ourselves Illyrians, we lived with honor. But then they came, the Dominion, an empire of chains. They killed our men, they burned our homes. They took everything." The hologram showed her husband, tall and strong, leading soldiers against the enemy. He fought bravely but was struck down. The image froze, her voice cracked. "He died with honor. I lived with shame." Hale's jaw tightened. "Why did they leave you alive?" Her hands clutched the locket, her eyes filled with tears. "They did not leave me, I escaped. My husband gave his life to protect me. He gave me this." She lifted the locket higher. "It carries our memory, but also more. It carries the key to destroy the Dominion, and that is why they hunt me. They will never stop." The room grew colder with her words. Hale felt the weight of it. He was not carrying a widow. He was carrying the last hope of a lost race. Before Hale could speak, the ship's alarm blared again. Red light flashed across the walls. The crew's voices echoed through the halls. "Enemy ships! Closing fast!" Hale rushed to the control room. The radar screamed with signals. 3 ships, black as shadows, bearing the mark of the Dominion. The crew shouted in panic. Some looked at the widow with rage. "She brought this." They cried, "Throw her out before they kill us all." But Hale raised his voice above them. "Silence. We fight, not abandon." The widow entered the room quietly, but her presence filled it like fire. She walked to the screen, her eyes cold. "They are here for me if you give me to them. They may let you live," Hale turned sharply. "And if I refuse?" She met his gaze. "Then you will all die." The crew fell silent. Waiting for his answer, Hale stood tall. "Then we fight." The ship shook as enemy fire struck the shields. The crew scrambled to weapons. The Iron Will was smaller, weaker. But its people were fierce. The battle began. Lasers burned through the black. Explosions flashed like stars. The Iron Will twisted and turned, dodging death, firing back with all its strength. But the Dominion ships pressed harder in the chaos. The widow moved to the weapon station. Her fingers flew across controls with shocking speed. She knew systems no human could understand. With her help, the gun struck true. 1 enemy ship burned. Torn apart in the fire of its own engines, the crew stared in shock. She was no ghost, no curse, she was a warrior. But the battle was not over. The other 2 ships closed in, their weapons aimed at the heart of the Iron Will. The widow turned to Hale, her voice hard. "If you want to live, you must trust me. There is a weapon hidden in the locket, a code. It can break their systems, but once I use it, they will know. More will come." Hale's eyes locked with hers. He saw no lie, only truth and fire. He gave a single nod. "Do it." She opened the locket. The light grew so bright the room shook. A pulse of energy spread through the screens. The enemy ships froze, their weapons silent. Then one by one they went dark, dead in the void. Silence filled the control room. The crew gasped. They were alive for now. The widow's hand shook, her eyes heavy with sorrow. "Now they will never stop," she whispered. "They will come with more. They will come until I'm gone." Hale placed a hand on the console, his voice firm. "Then they will have to go through me first." The crew stared at him, shocked, but deep inside something had changed. The widow was no longer only a stranger. She was part of their fight, part of their fate. And as the stars burned cold around them, the secret was no longer hidden. The war had found them, the battle had ended. But silence on the iron will felt heavier than gunfire. Smoke drifted through the corridors, sparks hissed from broken wires, and the crew staggered with exhaustion. They were alive, but only just. The Dominion ships were gone, disabled by the Widow's secret weapon, yet everyone knew it was not victory. It was only survival. The enemy would return stronger, faster, and endless in the med bay. Men and women nursed burns and broken bones. Hale walked among them. His face was hard, but his heart heavy. He had promised them safety, yet now death hunted them. And all of it centered on her. The alien widow sat in the corner, silent, her silver skin marked with bruises from the fight, her eyes distant. She held the locket close as though it was part of her soul. When the crew saw her, their whispers began again. "She doomed us," one muttered. "Without her, we would be safe." Another hissed. Hale silenced them with a glare, but he felt the truth burning inside. He could not deny it. Her presence had brought war into their lives. Yet without her, they would already be dead. That night, while the crew slept, Hale found her standing at the observation window again. The stars burned cold beyond the glass. Her reflection looked ghostly against the void. "You saved us," Hale said quietly. She did not turn. "I endangered you," she replied. Her voice was heavy, as if carrying chains. "You fought beside us," Hale said. "You bled with us. That makes you one of us." At last she turned. Her eyes burned like distant suns. "You do not understand, Captain. To stand with me is to stand against the Dominion. And no one who does that lives long." Hale stepped closer, his voice steady. "Then I will live as long as I can. Standing with you, for the first time." Her mask cracked. A flicker of emotion, not grief, but something deeper, something fragile. She lowered her gaze, her voice softer. "Why?" "Because," Hale said, "you are not a curse. You are hope. Even if you don't believe it yet." The ship groaned around them. As if agreeing, days passed. The crew repaired the damage. But fear lingered like smoke. Every sensor reading felt like a knife. Every shadow outside the glass looked like another Dominion ship. Yet slowly something else began to grow. The widow worked alongside the crew. She learned their systems, their tools, their way of speaking. At first they avoided her. But in battle drills she proved herself again and again. Her hands were faster than theirs. Her instincts sharper, her courage unquestionable. One soldier whispered, "She saved my life in the firefight." Another admitted, "She knows their tactics better than we ever could." Suspicion turned to silence, and silence turned to respect. Still at night she kept to herself. Her whispers to the stars continued. Her grief remained. Hale often found her alone. He never asked her to stop, he only stood near, as if his presence could shield her from the endless weight she carried. Then came the second test. The iron will was ambushed at the edge of a gas cloud. Dominion scouts, faster and ruthless, rained fire across the ship. The shields buckled, alarms screamed, the crew scrambled for weapons. Hale shouted orders, his voice steady in the storm. But it was the widow who turned the tide. She took the weapons console again. Her silver hands a blur, she shouted in her own tongue, guiding the humans through maneuvers they had never practiced. Together they struck back. The gas cloud lit with explosions. Dominion scouts fell one by one. But a blast tore through the hull. Fire racing through the corridor. Hale ran into the flames, soldiers falling behind him. He saw one man pinned under debris. Without thought, Hale tried to pull him free, but the fire roared closer. Then the widow appeared. Her body glowed faint against the firelight. With inhuman strength, she lifted the debris, dragged the soldier out, and shoved Hale away just as the corridor collapsed. She stood in the smoke, her chest rising with fierce breath, her eyes locked with Hale's for that moment. No enemy, no war, only them, bound by survival. When the fire was out and the crew safe, whispers spread again. But this time, they were not whispers of fear, they were whispers of awe. "She saved him," a soldier said. "She saved the captain." In the quiet after the battle, Hale found her again. This time she was not at the window but in the med bay, sitting by the injured soldier she had saved. Her hand rested on his chest as if giving strength. "You risked yourself for us," Hale said. She looked at him, tired but calm. "I was his captain once, long ago. I know what it means to protect your own." Her words sank into him like iron. He saw it clearly now. She was not only a survivor, Not only a widow, she was a leader, a warrior, one who carried the spirit of a fallen world, and somehow that spirit had chosen to stand beside him. That night when Hale looked out at the stars, he did not feel alone. He knew the Dominion would come again. He knew death still waited for them, but he also knew something else. The bond between them was no longer built on chance, it was forged in fire, sealed in blood, and tempered by survival, and in the silent black of space. Bonds like that could change destinies. The iron will drifted in silence after the second ambush. The hull was patched, the fires were out, but the crew's hearts were still burning with questions. They looked at their captain with loyalty, but their eyes always returned to her, the alien widow. She worked among them, fixing machines, tending the wounded, guiding them through hidden dangers. The crew had stopped calling her a curse, yet they did not call her one of them either. She was something in between, part of the ship but not fully trusted. Captain Hale knew the crew's fear would never end until the truth was spoken. The widow's secret was too heavy, and secrets always broke men faster than war. That night, in the deep hours when most slept, Hale walked the silent corridor to her cabin. He hesitated only once, then pressed the door open. Inside, the dim light of the locket painted the walls with pale fire. She sat on the floor, her silver skin glowing faintly. Her eyes closed as she listened to the voices inside the locket. Hale stood there for a long time before speaking. "Tell me everything," he said. His voice was steady, but his heart carried iron. Her eyes opened slowly for a moment. She looked ready to refuse, but then her shoulders lowered. Her hands clutched the locket tighter. She whispered, "If I tell you, your life will change. You will never be free again." Hale stepped forward, his gaze sharp. "It already changed the day I hired you." The widow looked into his eyes. For the first time there was no mask, only truth. She opened the locket, and the room filled with light. The voices spoke again, but now the images grew clearer. She showed him her world before it burned. Silver cities under bright suns, children laughing, warriors standing proud. Then came the Dominion, their ships black as night, their weapons cutting through light itself. Her people fell one by one until only ashes remained. "My husband," she said softly. The image of a tall warrior appeared. His eyes fierce, his hand raised in command. He fought with fire in his soul, but the battle swallowed him. He died so I could live. He gave me this. She lifted the locket higher. This is not only memory, it is code. Knowledge of their weapons, their weakness, and their sins. Hale's breath caught. "You carry the weapon to destroy them." She nodded. "Yes, but it is not simple, it is unfinished. My husband died before it was complete. I was meant to protect it, to pass it on, but I am the last. There is no one left to give it to until—" Her voice trembled. "Until now," Hale frowned. "Why me?" Her eyes burned. "Because you did not abandon me. You did not see me as curse. You gave me life when I had none. And now fate ties us together." Hale felt the weight of her words. But before he could answer, the ship trembled. The alarm screamed. The crew rushed to battle stations. Hale ran to the control room, the widow close behind. The radar showed a Dominion cruiser, larger than any they had faced. Its weapons locked on them, shields up. Hale ordered. The crew obeyed, their hands shaking. The cruiser's voice filled the comms, cold and merciless. "Surrender the Illyrian survivor, and you may live, refuse, and you will be destroyed." The crew froze. All eyes turned to the widow. She stood silent, her face pale. Her hand tightened around the locket. "They know," she whispered. "They always know." Hale's jaw hardened. He looked at his crew, at the fear in their eyes, and then at her. "You heard them," he said. "They want her. They will never stop." The widow stepped forward, her voice calm but heavy. "Give me to them, Captain. End this. Save your crew." The room went silent. Every soldier stared at Hale. Waiting for his choice, he shook his head slowly. His voice sharp as steel. "No. You are part of this ship now. We stand together. Or we fall together." The crew gasped. Some shouted in anger, "She is not one of us." But Hale silenced them with one glare. The widow's eyes filled with something she had not felt in years. Hope. Her voice trembled. "Why risk everything for me?" "Because," Hale said, "you are not just one widow. You are the last voice of your people, and maybe the first chance for freedom this galaxy has left." The cruiser fired. The iron will shook, explosions rattling the hull. The crew screamed orders, Hale shouted commands, and the widow stepped to the console once again. Her fingers moved with speed, her voice filled the room. There is one way if I connect the code. I can break their systems, but it will burn me. The energy will cut through me like fire. Hale grabbed her arm. His voice fierce. No, there must be another way. She shook her head, her silver eyes glowing. I was born for this, I lived for this. My life has no meaning if I cannot finish what my husband died for. The ship groaned as another blast hit. Hale knew they had seconds left. His mind screamed to stop her, but his heart knew the truth. She was not afraid of death. She was afraid of dying without purpose. Hale's grip loosened. His voice broke into a whisper. Then let me stand with you. Together, they turned to the console, her hands glowing, his hand covering hers. The locket burned bright. The code inside screamed into the systems. The Dominion cruiser froze, its lights flickered. Its weapons went silent. Then, with a roar that echoed through the void, it tore apart, exploding into fire and debris. Silence followed. The iron will drifted through smoke and wreckage. Alive. The widow collapsed. Hale caught her before she fell. Her eyes opened weakly, her voice soft. Now you know everything. Now you know me. Hale held her close, his voice steady but quiet. Yes, and now you are no longer alone. The iron will floated among the burning wreckage of the Dominion cruiser. The battle was over, but the silence afterward was sharper than any blade. The crew moved slowly, tending wounds, repairing systems, whispering about what had happened. They had seen the widow unleash the hidden code. They had seen her nearly burn herself to save them all. And now they looked at her differently. Some still feared her, but most felt something else, respect. Captain Hale sat by her side in the medbay. She was weak, her silver skin pale, her body trembling from the energy she had channeled. The locket rested on the table, dark and silent. You should rest, Hale said quietly. Her eyes opened slowly, her voice was soft but steady. Rest is for the safe, we are not safe, he wanted to argue. But he saw the fire still burning inside her. She was wounded, but she was not broken. Days passed. The crew repaired the ship. The widow recovered slowly every night. Hale found her by the windows, staring into the endless stars, her hands clutching the locket, her lips whispering. Sometimes prayers, sometimes names, sometimes silence. One night, Hale joined her without a word. They stood together. The stars reflected in their eyes. After a long silence, she spoke. Do you know why my people feared love? Hale turned surprised. Feared it? She nodded. Yes. Because love makes you weak, it binds you. It makes you fight battles you would never choose. My husband loved me, and because of that love, he died to protect me. Sometimes I wonder if love is a gift or a curse. Hale's voice was calm but firm. It is both, but without it, life is nothing. Her eyes lingered on him. For a moment, the endless sorrow in them softened. The silence was broken by the alarm. Another Dominion fleet was closing fast, this time 5 ships. Their weapons charged, the crew scrambled. Hale rushed to the control room. The widow followed. Her body still weak, but her eyes filled with fire. The first blast struck, shaking the iron will. Sparks rained down. The shields groaned, the crew shouted. Hale gave orders. But the Dominion pressed harder in the chaos. A missile tore through the hull near the bridge. The ceiling collapsed, debris fell. Hale looked up just as a steel beam broke free. It crashed down toward him. The widow moved without thought. She threw herself against him. Knocking him to the floor, the beam slammed beside them, missing him by inches. Her body shielded his. Her hands pressed against his chest. For a moment, time stopped. The battle raged outside, but inside that broken room, there was only silence, their eyes locked. Her breath close to his, he saw no fear in her. Only something deeper, something human. She whispered, Now you see love is a curse, because in this moment, I would die for you. Hale's heart pounded, his voice low. Then it is a curse I share. The crew pulled them free. The battle raged on, but everything had changed. Side by side, Hale and the widow took the weapons station. Together their hands moved across the console. Her alien knowledge, his human instinct, their bond turned the tide. Enemy ships fell one by one. Explosions lit the black sky like firestorms. But the cost was heavy, the iron will shook with each hit. The hull cracked, systems burned. Yet the crew did not break, they fought harder. Inspired by the strange bond they saw between their captain and the widow. When the last Dominion ship fell, silence returned again. The crew cheered weakly. Battered but alive, Hale stood, his chest heaving. The widow leaned against him. her body trembling, but in her eyes burned something no dominion could kill. Later, in the quiet of her cabin, she sat with the locket, her voice soft. I thought I had no future, only memory, but now, something grows inside me. Something I did not believe possible. Hale frowned. What do you mean? She placed his hand gently against her stomach. Her silver eyes shone with both fear and wonder. Your people and mine. We were never meant to join, but the war has written a new story. I carry your child. Hale's breath froze. His heart thundered. He searched her eyes. But there was no lie, only truth. For a long moment, he was silent, then he whispered, Then this child is proof. Proof that we are stronger together than apart. Her voice trembled. The Dominion will kill us if they know. They will kill the child before it takes its first breath. Hale's voice grew sharp as steel. Then we will fight for it, for you, for them, for all of us. The widow's eyes filled with tears, not of grief but of something new, something rare. She placed her hand over his, her voice soft as a prayer. Then love is no curse, it is our war, and our hope. And in the silent black of space, as stars burned cold around them, two lives bound by grief and survival were now bound by something greater, a bond that no empire could ever erase. The iron will floated like a wounded beast in the darkness, its hull scarred, its crew weary, yet inside, a secret burned brighter than any star. The widow carried life within her, a life never meant to exist. A child of two worlds the crew did not know. Only Hale and the widow shared the truth. They kept it hidden, for if the Dominion discovered it, death would come swifter than any blade, but the Dominion was already moving. Their fleets grew larger, their shadow spread wider. The signal of their hunters returned again, stronger, closer, unstoppable. One night, as the ship sailed through a silent nebula, Hale stood at the window, his eyes fixed on the faint glow of stars behind the mist. The widow joined him, her hand resting on her stomach. Her voice soft, They will come soon. I can feel it. Hale's jaw tightened. Then we prepare, we do not run. Not anymore. Her silver eyes shone with both fear and fire. If they take me, they will take the child, they will cut it from me, they will erase it. Because they fear what it means, Hale turned, his voice sharp. Then we will not let them. We will fight until the end. The words became truth sooner than expected. Alarms screamed, the crew rushed to stations. The radar filled with signals, a Dominion warfleet, 10 ships strong. Their weapons aimed, their voices filled the comms. Cold and merciless, could give us the widow, or all of you will burn. The crew froze. Panic rippled through them. Some looked at Hale with fear. Some looked at the widow with anger. The weight of choice pressed down like a storm. Hale stood tall at the center, his voice thundered. She is one of us. We will not surrender her, a soldier shouted back. Captain, this is suicide. We cannot fight 10 ships. Another added, she is not worth all of our lives. The widow stepped forward. Her face calm. They are right, Captain, if you keep me. They will kill you all. Let me go, end this war for your crew. Hale's eyes burned. No, if we give you to them, we lose more than our lives. We lose our soul. The room fell silent. The choice was made. The first volley struck. The iron will shook like a dying star. Systems failed, lights flickered. The crew screamed as explosions ripped through the corridors. Hale gave orders, the crew fought back, their guns roared. But against 10 ships it was like throwing stones at mountains. In the chaos, the widow turned to Hale. Her voice steady. There is one last way. The locket carries not only memory, not only code, it carries the seed of collapse. A signal that can tear their fleet apart, but if I use it, it will burn me. It will end me. Hale grabbed her arm, his voice fierce. No, we find another way. Her silver eyes glowed with sorrow. There is no other way. If I do not, the child will never live. And the Dominion will erase us all. Hale's heart thundered. He could not let her go, he could not let her die. Yet he saw the truth in her eyes. The ship shook harder. The Dominion pressed closer. Death waited only seconds away, Hale whispered. Then we do it together. She stared at him. Her breath caught for a moment, her mask broke. Her hand touched his face gently. Then we die as one. They moved to the console. The locket opened, its light brighter than any sun. The widow's voice rose in her ancient tongue. The code screamed into the systems, the iron will became a beacon, sending waves of power across the black. The Dominion ships froze. Their engines choked, their weapons failed. The code tore through them like fire through dry wood. One by one, the warships exploded, flames devouring the fleet, but the cost was great. The widow collapsed, her body trembling. Her skin pale as ash. Hale caught her. Holding her close, her voice was weak. "It is done. They are gone, the child will live." Hale's eyes burned. His voice shook. "Stay with me, please." She smiled faintly, her hand resting on his chest. "Do not grieve, Captain, for I am not gone. I live in this child." "In you?" Her eyes closed, her body grew still, but her locket glowed softly, resting against her stomach. As if carrying both memory and future, silence filled the ship. The crew stood stunned. They had survived. The Dominion was shattered, but their victory had been bought with the life of the widow. Hale stood at the window, the locket in his hand. His voice low but steady. "You gave your life for hope. I will give mine to protect it." Behind him, the crew bowed their heads, no longer seeing her as curse but as savior. And as the Iron Will sailed into the endless dark, carrying a secret no empire could ever destroy, one truth remained clear. The widow was gone, but her legacy lived. In the heart of a human, in the life of a child, in a bond that no war could ever break,